Hi, I'm Mickey Zeta, and I'm going to tone down my light a little bit. Okay, that's better. Hi, it's Wednesday Night Live with Mickey, and I'm going to talk about something that every single one of us deal with at some point. I had a conversation with a woman today who has been out of her abusive relationship for a long time, but I think like 6 or 7 years. But she has never told her story openly. She doesn't want to talk about her situation that she lived in before. She's worked on herself. She's married to a fabulous, new, kind, and generous man. But her fear of talking, actually telling her real truth, speaking her truth, is fearful to her. So we talked about that today, and it turns out that she had the same fear that I had when I started Surviving Abuse Network. So what I'm going to talk to you about, since there's two of us and we both talked about it today, I bet you there's a bunch of you out there who are feeling the same way. And that is that we don't talk about our story. We don't, let me back up. You know, when we lived in abuse, we hid our bruises. We never said, hey, Angela, how nice to see you. I'm glad you're here. So when we lived in abuse, we hid our bruises. We didn't tell our friends why we really couldn't go to lunch, which was because our husband said, you're not going. Our abuser said, no, that's not happening. Part of the control thing. We couldn't buy some of the clothes that some of our friends were wearing because we were constricted by his budget. We could only have X amount of dollars, no matter how much we made ourselves. We made excuses. We made excuses for the behavior that was going on in our lives. And why did we do that? Well, I think we did it. I know I did it to protect my abuser. I did it because I didn't want the reality of who he was and the way he treated me to be out there. So at my expense, I protected him. And guess what? Hey, Jan, glad to have you here. Guess what? We continue that. Once we're out, we continue to protect our abusers. Now, I didn't think about it that way. As you know, I lived in abuse for 34 years. I got out. I was out for about 14 years. Maybe 15 before I started Surviving Abuse Network. And in those 15 years, I very, very rarely talked about having lived in abuse. Most people who know my ex-husband, they may know just because they knew, but I never said that he was an abuser. I didn't do that because I was protecting him. I was putting myself on the back burner 14 years after I left. Is that not crazy? But it's what we do. So when I decided I was going to do Surviving Abuse Network, when I decided that podcasts and live videos about abuse and writing blogs, that's what I was going to do, I called a counselor of mine who knew me and he knew my ex-husband. And I called him and said, hey, Dr. Jim, guess what? This is what I want to do. And do you know what he said? You go for it, Mickey. You go for it, because what you're doing, speaking your truth, is not about him at all. It's about you. And he said, this is shocking. It shocked me. He said, the longer that you don't speak your truth about the way that you lived, the way that you lived under his regime, then you're allowing him to continue abusing you. You're allowing him a whole bunch of space in your brain, in your mind. And that was shocking to me. I'd been out for 15 years about, and I was still allowing him to control what I said and how I said it. Now, I don't talk about my abuser's name. I'm not going to do that. And I'm not going to say too many specific things except as it pertains to how I felt and how I was treated and how I responded. Those are the things that I think are so important to speak my truth about. Now, some of you are in a situation much more dangerous than I was. I'd never had guns held to my head or knives to my throat. I was bruised, but I never had a broken bone. So if you're in a situation where it's really dangerous for you to speak your truth, don't do it publicly, but do it with other women that you know would benefit from hearing your story. And especially if you've created a great life outside of abuse, which most of us eventually do. If we do personal growth, we create great lives after abuse. And that was a situation with the young woman I talked with today. She got out of her abusive situation. It's been years, she still looks behind her, over her shoulder. She's still worried about what he might do or what he might say. And she hasn't started speaking her truth yet. Sorry. So that's kind of my message. As long as we don't speak our truth, we are allowing our abusers to continue abusing us. That was like a 2x4 to the brain. It was like a shocking reality, and I hope that you're feeling the same way. Now, again, be safe about how you speak your truth. Be careful about where you say it and how you say it. But do it because it's cathartic. It will make you feel better. It's part of the healing process to share your truth, to speak what you lived through and where you are now, that you're coming out on the other side as a healthy and in a safe relationship, even if the relationship is just with yourself. Create some girlfriend relationships. I wasn't allowed to do that, and I found out that girlfriends are the best. I am absolutely loving creating girlfriend relationships. So that's my message. Thank you very much for listening. If you'll go to my website, survivingabusenetwork.com, survivingabusenetwork.com, there's a lot of blog posts there, and there are live videos, and there are other things that you can download and listen to and read and get inspiration. More and more women are coming forward to tell their story on my podcast, and I love that because it's validation. I'm not the only one who came through this. There are thousands and thousands of us. So I think it's a benefit for you to hear from those women. Go to my podcast and listen to them. Thank you so much. Jan said, speaking your truth, lets light shine on the pain and healing can begin. And that is true. Absolute truth. Thank you, Jan, for that. All right, I'll be back on Sunday Night Wine with Mickey. I hope to see you there. I also have now got a Patreon page, patreon.com/Mickey J. Zeta. So if you would like to help support what I'm doing with Surviving Abuse Network, your donation can be as small as $5. Every $5 makes a difference. That's patreon.com/Mickey J. Zeta. Thank you for helping support this cause. For the more that you support me, the more I'm able to support more women. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'll see you on Sunday.